Hello comrades, yes it's me, a Yorkshireman living in Wales, and I hope everybody's okay, power to the people. Today comrades, we're going to talk about trees, yes. It's been well documented in various different bits of social media about the Ugandan tree project supported by the Welsh Government using the third party or the charity called the Size of Wales, as you can see on this document I've just put up. And it's literally just a tree programme, nothing more, nothing else to see here. Or is that the case? Anyway, it's set in Uganda. So a little bit of background is, my question to myself is always, is the place corrupt? Well, look at this. Corruption Perceptions Index says that yes it is. And it's got a score 26 out of 100. The lower the score, the worse it is. And it's actually gone down a bit. Just for comparison, the UK used to be 80, it's now 70. In Uganda, the main issues are things like the police, the court system, the tax services and the land services. Now, the question is, I don't know what you think, would you still trust all these organisations in the UK? Clearly, a lot of independent documents and organisations say in Uganda, no, you can't trust them. So, to get more information, I then did a Freedom of Information request, and I will leave the link on the page somewhere, on my description. So, this is what I did, this is what I got back, and I asked for things like invoices, expenditure, anything to do with the project. So you can have a look at this full document and anything else it's got sent with it, because I am using the information that was sent to me, so I'm not making this up. So what answers did I get back? Well, first off I got back confirmation they have spent over £4 million. Now, I'm also aware, because I do quite a bit of looking into charities, they can get funding from all over the place and sometimes it's difficult to track. However, on the face of it, that's all they've got from us, a mere £4 million, which would get us some nurses and some council staff. Anyway, according to the Welsh Government, they don't hold any information because it's connected to a third party, which is the charity. Right. Now, ironically, even though I asked for all this information, the Welsh Government actually meet with these on an informal basis at least once a week. So I've sent a follow-up saying, can you please ask them for the invoices? I'd love to see them. Now, because I've read all the documentation prior to making this video, I need to now set the scene in a different way. I'm going to talk about the British Empire. And according to this on Wikipedia, it started origins between 1497 to 1583. Now, good news is I wasn't alive then, so I can't have anything to blame with it. However, it would appear that it's all my fault because I'm white and I was British at the time, whatever that means. Even though I was born in Hull. Does that mean I'm British? I don't know. Either way, I was born in England, in Hull. So we don't say the H. So at this point, I'm thinking, well, when did it finish? Decolonisation and decline, 1945 to 1997. Well, I was born then, in between that period, but was it my fault? No, because I've learnt my lesson. I get blamed because of my interference in different cultures, my pushing of expectations and values and laws and legislation, and this is the way to do things because we're white and we know better than you. Apparently I have now a privilege at that. I've not seen it. So, you wouldn't expect anybody else to do that, would you? You wouldn't expect anybody else to go into a country and literally tell them how to do things and interfere in their families or their social structures within communities, would you? You wouldn't, because we all know it's bad. And further evidence is this more recently in the HMRC. It's all over on the news. They're doing a course and it's called The Guilt of Being British. Huh. Now that's again funded by us. So it's still a real thing, isn't it? So you wouldn't expect anybody else to do it. So, in all the documentation I got, this was the end of project evaluation. And some of it is redacted. Why it is, I don't know. That I can't really work out. I've looked at the full document and you will find it with my FOI request. So I'll go through the documentation and I'll look at this project concept and design. And again, look, it says, oh, quite simple, it's going to plant 25 million trees. As I read through it, and you can stop it and read it. I then go on, blah, 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 and then the project also aims to increase the knowledge of local farmers and communities. Well, that implies that they don't know what they're doing. I somewhat think they might know what they're doing because they might have been doing it for many hundreds of years. Right, oh, but wait on. It's about sustainable agroforestry and tree diversity. My question there is, have they asked for it? now is it the Welsh Government, via this charity, imposing their own values about agroforestry and tree diversity. I don't remember seeing anything where the Ugandans have called out for this. As I go through, it then mentions things like fuel efficient stoves. Well, yeah, I'll go with that. Beekeeping. Really? Well, whatever, but now we're moving away from trees. And then the red flag comes here. Gender. Incorporated into programme and organisational approach. Organisational spent with a Z. That's sort of, I think, if I remember, the American way of spelling it, unless I'm wrong. So at this point I then think, wait on then, is this the Welsh Government wanting to be the Welsh Empire? Anyway, further look at the documentation and I find things like this. So remember, this is evaluation, these are the recommendations. Third bullet point. Ensure the organisation has a theory of change built into the project rationale, line and learning. So, partners understand its significance. Now, that to me says that the programme's failed because the people, whoever they're trying to impose it on, went, yeah, whatever, we'll have your money, but the rest of it we're not interested in. So what they need to do is, theory of change is like behavioural manipulation, depending how you're doing it, and it's quite tricky to do. Is it for a Western organisation to do that? No, because that's bad, because that's the British Empire and we've been told off for that. So already we can see this messing about and interference using Western values. It goes on to say, bullet point below, develop the capacity of the partners to understand and integrate gender equity and principles. Well, quality principles. Well, again, this is nothing to do with trees now, is it? And this is what annoys me about these charities. Nothing to do with trees. This is what the British Empire did in different ways. This is now a different way, and this seems to be okay. And this is signed off by the Welsh Government via a charity. Can't believe it, can you? Does it get any better? No. Then goes on to say, encourage dialogue with men. So now we've got to speak to men and tell them to support women's empowerment and decision making in resource allocation, including land for tree planting. This is direct interference with whatever the social norms is in a country. And I do remember, going back in my history, again going back to the British Empire and me have been told off because that's what we did. Still nothing to do with me, but for some reason it's okay for the Welsh Government, now Welsh Empire, to do that via a charity. Personally, I've learnt my lesson. I'd say keep out of it. Now to do, not interested. If you want some advice, I'll nip over, give you it and then come back. You're getting nothing. But it goes on to say, women, ensure women's meaningful participation in community management and decision making. Well, there's a lot to unpack there, isn't there? So women, they can't take part. So women in Uganda, according to somebody else, based on Western values, they're just left outside. Is that true? Oh, I don't know, because I haven't seen any evidence. But now, to make sure it does happen, link with organisations with expertise in gender equity and equality to facilitate learning. So now we're going to bring in the outside experts, and of course who's paying for that? And should you be doing that? Should you be interfering in social norms? I'm going to say no, you shouldn't. Now, the other thing I then noticed is I thought to myself, well, is it ethical? In the document, if you go through it, you'll find there's a bit ethical considerations. It's not about anything I've talked about, that's just about data, so they don't really care about that. The other thing is, then I then looked and I went further through, and on a project summary they then came up with, we got about more money, over £1 million, and because of that we used part of that to buy, guess what, pickup trucks. Do you need them really for tree stuff? Don't know, maybe they have their own. It goes on, pickup trucks, motorcycles, solar equipment, data collection, IT equipment, phones, conference microphones, cameras and over projector screens. For trees? Really? Anyway, again, remember all this is going into a place which is corrupt. So I'd really love to see where all that equipment is now living. So I then look a little bit further. And as you can see on this page here, it says gender transformative strategy for the programme. This should be coupled with training in gender mainstreaming for all staff implementing. Right, really? This is 100% interference in another community of an indigenous species where they have their own culture. It's not our culture, it's not Western culture, it's their culture. yet for some reason it's okay to interfere. Again, I have to say, being told off British Empire, we have to live with the guilt. I don't have any guilt, thanks, because it's nothing to do with me. Then it goes on to say this would enhance fairer gender relations. So that implies that somebody somewhere in the West thinks, well, it's not fair. Well, maybe it's just how it is. Maybe that's their normal social structure. So this is imposing Western values and ideology on something. And then, and this is a rabbit hole, and I've looked at it briefly, overcome the leakages at the household level in the coffee value chain. Now, coffee value chain is a separate rabbit hole itself, but again, if you put that in, you should come up with a labour relations document all about that. All this is about, as far as I'm concerned, going into Uganda, because it is corrupt, and somehow getting in different organisations, private organisations, who can then weed the way in via different charities. This is how they always work, actually. So if you look carefully, you'll see some charities are also funded by private companies, and all you have to do is then make the links. Right, I don't want you to get bored, so this is part 1 of the tree video. Part 2 of the tree video will follow soon. Thank you for watching. Please tick subscribe, and I will catch you on the other side, and leave a comment. Thank you.